Losers.
Losers. Losers.
Losers. What's up, losers?
Welcome to Drink the Kool-aid.
Today we're discussing PC culture.
Yeah, we're talking about no words.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to that, let us talk about what we're doing right now. If you haven't been watching the channel this week, we're having a couple of new segments. One I literally just dropped on him 3 minutes ago. We are going to have a song of the week every week on Sunday. It's going to be Sunday songs, and we're going to write silly songs, and we're going to play them. Not to mention we have some very cool hip-hop songs coming down the pipe.
Nothing good.
Yeah.
Just cover your ears.
Yeah. It's mediocre at best. But be sure to check out those songs. You know, check out the Patreon, do all that stuff. Subscribe, click the little bell guy so that you know when our videos come out. Because we're at 4 videos a week at this point with the Yo Mamas and the reviews, which there's more of those coming too. I just shot a bunch of those. We're going to shoot some together this week probably if we get the chance to. So, stay tuned, stay focused, and stay nerdy.
Yeah, and get trashed.
So today we're going to talk about PC culture and how it's affected our lives and, you know, just how it's affected American culture in general. Not to mention breaking down some specifics that maybe we don't understand as well, and maybe just discuss those. And I just feel like I personally was pretty into talking about this because I feel if you ignore things like this, you enable them. Like if you don't talk about stuff, you enable it, and we don't want to do that. So we're gonna talk about it. So here it comes.
Yeah, send your hate mail this way. It's a good place.
Or tell us what you think. You know, if we're wrong, I would love to have like, if you disagree with something that we say on this podcast, I would absolutely adore to have like a civilized discussion about it, because I don't think anything that we're gonna say is gonna be particularly heinous or like gonna like infect anyone dramatically. We're just gonna talk about like how things have changed, and you know, is it for the better? Yes, sometimes it is for the better. Is it for, is it not? Maybe. We're gonna talk about it. So this was your jam, so let's jam.
All right, man. So, yeah, I heard somebody say something really interesting. Do you have any religious friends?
Yes.
All right. So, yeah, I'm not naming names, but one of my more religious friends today told me, because I talked to him about this podcast we were doing about PC culture, and he said, I've noticed with political correctness is a lot of my religious friends and I are no longer allowed to talk about what we want to talk about as far as religion in public, which is kind of like, I don't know how appropriate it is to be talking about your faith in public, Anyway.
I think that depends. I think it depends on how you present it, because,
sure.
Most people don't know this, because I don't go around wearing a t-shirt advertising, but I'm a bit religious myself. And, but the thing is I always have never felt the need to, like, shove that down anybody's throat.
Yeah, that's...
You know what I mean? Like, my beliefs and ideals are not easily threatened, so I can talk about them in a reasonable fashion, and I'm not threatened by your opinion. Like if you have a different opinion, even if it's contrary to whatever I may think or believe, like your opinion doesn't threaten mine.
Okay.
And I'm open to suggestion. Like I'm open to new ideas, like at all times. And I find that just living my life that way just makes it a lot more like a fulfilling life. It makes it a lot more. I don't know, it makes me understand things better if I'm open to other ideas instead of just being like, I'm set in my ways and I'm too old or long in the tooth to go around like checking out these highfalutin new age ideals.
Mumble rap.
I'm always open to new music. I'm always open to new ideas, new concepts. And I don't dig my heels in unless I really feel like I have to. You know what I mean? Like, there's some things that I'll dig my heels in about, but like, I try not to. I try to just be open and not be a jerk and not be an old man. Sometimes I do feel those old man tendencies tend to push through. And I'm just like, get off my yard!
You worked hard for your yard, man.
I did. I worked my butt off for my yard.
You worked hard for that yard, and people shouldn't walk on it. I'm with you. His thing was kind of like, I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about, but yeah, society has moved in a direction where it's like a lot of those religious conversations, not all, but definitely some of them, I would say probably even most of them are a little inappropriate to talk about, like out in the open now.
Well, just like anything else, I think there is people of any persuasion, any kind of ideals. I mean, you cross the board, dudes that like certain kinds of music. Mm-hmm. There are always zealots. Zealots is the word that kind of make the rest of us look bad. And, like some people that are just so, and like, man, the thing about the future and PC culture that I've really noticed, the upswing of like this very PC movement was with the inception of like social media basically dominating the way we receive information.
Yeah.
Everybody has a voice now. And should everyone have a voice? I don't know. Who am I to say? But like everyone's got a voice now. It's real easy. I can announce my whatever weird idea I have, like say I'm going to tell everyone the earth is flat. And I'm going to be like, the earth is flat. I can announce it to the world, pretty much.
So like with like the earth is flat idea, you also get the people who hear shit like that and they go, that idea is dangerous. And that totally doesn't make sense to me because I know what danger is, and like somebody having a stupid idea isn't one of them.
I don't think that. I think all ideas have the potential to be dangerous. I think all ideas do.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. So, but if someone wants to believe that, I mean, there is an entire world of scientific fact that will disprove you. But if that's what you want to do, and you're not hurting anybody, I mean, more power to you. Believe the Earth is flat. That gets you good. Blows your skirt up. That's your jam. It's not my jam.
I need to look into it more.
It's round. Believe me, just trust me. It's round.
I need to look into it.
I'm not saying that I'm into flat earthers, but
I think it looks like a tortilla.
I think that is a group of people that can endure some ridicule.
I think they probably get their fair share.
I'm sure they do. They don't need me to do it. I'm sure there's plenty of people on the internet. But one of the things I'm starting to notice too with a lot of this stuff, with this movement to be more politically correct, and this movement to, gosh, it's just so hard to put into words. I mean, I feel like I'm walking through a minefield right now. Just an internet minefield. Just to even talk about some of this stuff. But, there's a lot of YouTubers on right now that are, like, shutting down their pages. They're just, like, because they did, like, they did, like, a blackface sketch in, like, 2013. Somebody dredged it up. And, Jimmy Fallon just endured some of that. They tried to take Robert Downey Jr. down in Tropic Thunder, but that just you can't touch that.
It's too good.
But we're talking about, when we initially talking about this, we were talking about, like, the way you approached this idea with me, which I found really, really intriguing, was the fact that you said this. It was pretty much, I'm going to try to do it as verbatim as I can. But you said, I want to do an episode on PC culture. Words that we can't say anymore, or that maybe we should have never said in the first place.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you put this to me. And I was just like, well, that's a great idea. So there's that's why we call it no words.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
there's the obvious ones. I mean, we all know the obvious ones. I don't even think we need to really broach the obvious ones, but
if you don't want to, it could be fun. All right. Yeah, we won't.
We have a dog.
Marley. You guys might remember my mother-in-law from the bidet video. She's just visiting.
This is Marley.
Yeah. She's happy to see us. She's a cute girl. Yeah. She's cute. Hi. Should I get rid of her?
Yeah, get rid of her.
All right, come on.
Pause. I might just leave this in. That was the dog. The dog comes out here sometimes. We might get a random kid out here at some point too. You never know. Never know at Rob's. In this den of inequity that is Rob's garage.
I was thinking about adopting a cat with no legs. I'd name him Lieutenant Dan.
That's awesome.
Yeah, give him a little wheelchair. Maybe get him hooked on some narcotics and stuff. Send your hate mail. Do we have an email address yet?
We do. It's the Kool-Aid Kids Official at gmail.com.
All right, cool. Send your hate mail there for me getting a legless cat hooked on narcotics.
So no words. The first one obviously is the N-word. We don't need to say it. We all know what it is.
Right.
I just remember my exposure to that as a child. I grew up in Alaska, and one of the reasons I left Alaska is because I sought more opportunity, but I also wanted a place that was a little bit more modern thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because, when you're out in the sticks, it's not so modern. And N-bombs littered my childhood, because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, right? And it was still something that was said a lot. To the chagrin of everyone. I mean, I believe that, that's a word that we should have abandoned a while ago.
Yeah, I mean...
It's derogatory, and I get it, like rappers and stuff, that's cool, whatever, if, you're a person of color and you want to say that word, be my guest. But I just feel like, dude, as just a random, just a normal American white dude, I got no business saying that. None at all.
Yeah, I didn't really grow up hearing it a whole lot.
I did. I heard it every day, and It bothered me. It's to the point where, I even convinced some of my family members to stop, to knock it off. I'm like, dude, this is so just narrow in focus, and it's it's super hardcore derogatory, and you just lay off, dude. I mean, it's dumb. It makes you look dumb. It makes you look and sound dumb. Apart from being a super derogatory term, it's just knock it off. I mean, now they're starting to. I know they're starting to change what people read in school and stuff. And I know they've pulled Huck Finn and stuff like that. I've heard some schools have pulled Huck Finn.
Does it have any literary value anyway? I mean,
well, I don't know. It's been a long time since I read any of those. But I have read a lot of Mark Twain, and I've read a lot of H.P. Lovecraft, and occasionally, well, not so much in H.P. Lovecraft, but definitely Mark Twain stuff. I mean, that is something that is, definitely prevalent in a lot of those writings. I mean, there's a character that's literally named N-word Jim.
That was in Huck Finn, right?
Yeah. And I mean, but this is what I think. And extracting it from history is not going to solve the problem. If you ignore if you ignore History Channel, you're doomed to repeat History Channel. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's if you ignore history or try to erase it and just not acknowledge that it happened, then I think you're just basically dooming yourself to have it happen again.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on stuff that's outdated. Outdated words, if you just want my broad, opinion on that kind of stuff, that is it. Is that we need to just let some of it go. There are tricky gray areas that we try to navigate, and one of them for me is pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do. I make an effort to understand and make an effort to, if I'm corrected, I try to remember that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I have, been a little bit more careful with just dropping, but male or female, pronouns.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing something like they or them or, I get it. And I don't want to that's a hard life choice, man. People are I really do believe, that people are born that's in them already. They're born with it. So it's not really a choice. There is a choice when they decide to expose it to the world. But I think you're kind of born who you are. Sure. And maybe life experience changes that to some degree, or molds it, or shapes it, or hardens it. But I get that. And, trying to... there might be family value dogma in a way. There might be, cultural dogma. There might just be, you're not in a place where that's cool, and you're going to take some ridicule and some heat for, these things that you feel like you had no choice over. So you're just trying to be yourself, and there's everybody's hating on you for it because it's not that like they put in their little perfect box of the world. But be patient with me, because I do try really hard. I have to deal with the public all the time, and I'm very much conscious of it, and I'm very much trying. And that's something that I had like an idea I had to grow into almost a little bit when I first moved here, because it was just so shocking to me, and I felt like conversations, like especially in like Portland, did not go well for me because I had to reprogram the way I talk, because I spent my family is very Southern, and a lot of the colloquialisms of that just jargon, the slang, not talking about like the derogatory stuff, but just it's very indicative of like male or female pronouns, like darling, like calling someone darling, like, or sir or ma'am. Like sir and ma'am was literally beat into me as a child. Like I had to say that. Like if I did not, I got like smacked. So it's like to break that habit.
I don't think the losers know that like you spent half your childhood in Louisiana.
It's not even that. I just spent like a lot of time.
You talked about Alaska and then you said you were Southern.
Well, it's both. So it's a little of both.
No, it's interesting. So
it's just I grew up with like around a bunch of people that talked in the vernacular of the South, and like it's kind of ingrained in me too a little bit. But yeah, it's very much determined on like male and female pronouns. So I tried to change the way I speak a lot and change. Just so that I can, without getting crazy into it, like, if you identify as a rabbit, I just don't know what to do at that point. But like, there's a lot of legitimate things, and I just try to navigate them and try to accommodate, like selflessly accommodate. But I'm not about to be browbeat about it either. You know what I mean? Like, I try to accommodate, and I really do. And if I'm corrected, I try to remember that so that I can, as a courtesy to a fellow human being, because if I had something like that, I would definitely want to have, people acknowledge it to a degree and not try to sidestep it, not try to like deny it. And, that's just how I feel. I feel like if, you are who you are.
Yeah, who am I to get in the way of that, By all means, if you're happy and you're not causing any harm, why would I care? I mean, like, I'll do my best to show anybody respect. Might take a few reminders, but,
Yeah, but
I definitely do my best.
And like there is a way, and it's so subtle to have a sense of humor about stuff like this. Because sometimes I've found in life that if you call out, like when you meet somebody, if you just immediately acknowledge the elephant in the room, sometimes it just goes better.
Well, the other thing with acknowledging this PC culture topic is I've done my fair share of comedy. I was in an act called the Doggy Style Boys. I've done stand-up. And part of the PC culture is we're having a really hard time as a society differentiating this person is joking, this person's doing a bit, versus what this person actually believes, And like for me, comedy and podcast, whatever, it's always just a stage for me to say whatever tasteless shit I might come up with. It just sounds awesome in my
He's
head.
not lying.
Yeah. And like I've written some pretty hard jokes there, but it's definitely not a reflection of who I am as a person,
Yeah, but that's the minefield of being in any kind of entertainment industry too. I mean, there's guys that can do that. There's guys that can walk that line. Like the one that immediately comes to mind is Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
He can confront anything, and spin it to be funny. And really, like love him or hate him, he pops his head in to just be just enough to stay relevant at all times. Like he'll just pop his head in, do like a quick special, and he's out again. He's back in like, what does he live in, Montana now or something like that?
Ohio.
Yeah. So there's these social chameleons that can kind of come in and point it out. And I've seen just a lot of stand-up and stuff where it's been tastefully talked about, even untastefully talked about, but done in a way that was not, because we make light of things as a way to steal their power.
I honestly think, man, like even if it's not tasteful to you, it might be tasteful to somebody else. It can be completely subjective, and it's like if they're trying to make you laugh, if they're not just going on stage and being an angry dickhead about it.
I've seen my fair share of those.
Oh yeah, it's all over. But if they're trying to make you laugh, like for me, it's like I don't see a problem with it. Like
yeah, but you aggressively call out the elephant in the room too, because that's kind of like we're all programmed a certain way, and I just feel like you remind me of my father in a way, because my father's the same way. Like he can't abide a silence, and like he can't abide a void. You know what I mean? Like he loves to just like get a rise out of people, and that's his way of like getting them to focus. You know what I mean? Like is by getting a rise out of them. I noticed your comedy is kind of similar to that, where you're very rise driven, but that's the art form of it. I mean, like I dabbled in stand-up comedy for a while, but I did not have the time, neither the interest to put the time dedication into the art form, because it is an art form. Like it's practiced, it's focused, it's boiled down. You know, it's a tricky. I mean, look at like how many comedians come and go. And some that are just washed out in controversy before they can even, get a foothold. Or they just, like, jump out and then all of a sudden they do something really dumb. And then, that's it. It's over. So it's treacherous, and I get, I think that, like sometimes when people joke about stuff, it's like their way of stealing its negative power. Let's put it that way. Like by making light of it, it's like the last step to just completely, leaving it behind as far as it being a problem for somebody. By acknowledging it, that's the one step closer to just it being okay and just being part of normal life. Because I think that's what people rebel against, is the fact that anything that comes up like this changes their normal life. Or things change, because things constantly change. They change every day. It does. Think about it. Just think about in the last year.
I'm thinking about the flip side to this.
What's the flip side?
Bill Cosby never said anything distasteful or used the N-word or anything.
Yeah, but he was like, that's just, wasn't he a clean comic for the most part?
He was a pretty clean comic.
So there's those guys too, but look what he did on the back end of all that.
He used to berate other black comics for using racial slurs and swearing, and meanwhile, he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, his moral high horse ran away a long time ago.
Yeah, so, like that's the flip side, though. I mean, like, would you feel safer with, your wife or your daughter or something going and hanging out with Eddie Murphy for a day, or Bill Cosby? Knowing what you know, like giving Eddie Murphy.
There's a lot of if. You know what I mean? Like this is a hypothetical that has you have to be more specific with hypothetical. Like, what are they doing? Are they going on a date? What's going on?
They're just hanging out. Like your wife.
I'm just not seeing. Like, are we talking like okay? So
she's super cool, right? And she's just like she'd go over to their house and watch a movie, and like eat some pizza and stuff. You're not invited though. Why would you be?
The scenario doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it
makes perfect sense.
In the spirit of the argument, I would probably prefer Eddie Murphy because he was very, very tiny.
But he's not gonna drug and rape your wife. That's like a huge thing.
No, that's fair.
Not that I know of.
But I guess Bill Cosby was definitely. Since you're into comedy more than I am, like you're in a comedy where you probably have a tendency to delve a little bit more than I do.
All the time.
Yeah, and I don't. So. I remember Bill Cosby from The Cosby Show, and that is about it. And I thought he was kind of creepy, and supposed to do that weird little voice that he does all the time. Like, it bothered me. Like, it really, and I was more into Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like, for real. Like, if I was going to watch something on TV, that's what I would watch at that given period. That, or, like, Star Trek. Watched tons of Star Trek when I was a kid because I liked the portrayal of it. It's the one show where the future is a brighter place. Well, other than the recent ones, but like Star Trek Next Generation, humanity figured it out. We got it locked in. You know what I mean? Like, we're out exploring, gallivanting the galaxy with our highfalutin ideals, but we're still not judgy. We're just, we try not to interfere with cultures, but we just try to explore and expand our own minds. And that's every day is just dedicated to that. Like, whatever you do, it's just dedicated to like goodness and like self-discovery and actual discovery. And you just don't see that portrayed as a utopian future. It's rare in any kind of media that you see that. So I'd always like Bill Cosby. Bottom line is Bill Cosby just kind of creeped me out. So if I had my wife or daughter or whatever was going to go spend a day with a celebrity and it was either Bill Cosby or Eddie Murphy, it'd be Eddie Murphy, because I figure even just bottom line, it would be way more awesome.
You probably remember his Mr. T-Bit.
I do. I've actually watched. I watched the Raw stuff. I watched some Eddie Murphy stuff, dude. I know. I've seen his stand-up. I know what it's about.
It's still funny. Oh.
It's
still funny, man. But I mean, you take like, obviously, like, those comments don't reflect who he is as a person. Like, clearly they don't. If his Mr. T-Bit reflected who he was as a person, like, really today, man, his career would be over. He'd be outed for it, man. Like, everybody would be talking about it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he was kind of a chameleon. Okay, so Eddie Murphy, and if he did it today, he would have been run out of town with torches. With torches, you're saying that
never would. Not today.
Well, you got to remember too. Was that 80s, like late 80s that he did like most of that. It was a different time, and the times have changed. But I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it. You know what I mean? To understand it. There's sometimes I think it's ridiculous, and there's sometimes I think it's for real. You know what I mean? And it's just. But you got to remember too, like, my biggest beef with the world today is I can't trust what I see on the news. Mm-hmm. You can't. It's spun so hard. So when these people come out and say, this guy did this and he's a bad person.
Right.
It's like, I don't know if that's true or not. Like, I gotta and I can't go and vet every single piece of news I read. You know what I mean? It would be maddening. And just, I can't believe anything I see on the news. I can't believe anything I read on Facebook. It's always skewed or bent. I mean, this is the first time in a while I've actually, like, purged some people off of my Facebook friends list. Because I'm just tired of seeing the schlocky jargon that they throw at me. You know?
Yeah, man.
And I'm out. Like, like, one of the things is, like, since we're talking about, like, no-no subjects, like, dudes and the Confederate flag. I mean, seriously. I mean, people are making a big, huge stink about the Confederate flag being pulled from, like, national events and, like, state monuments and stuff.
It's like, it's not quite the Confederate flag, but a lot of
it's not at all.
The statues, though, like, of the generals in the Confederate Army, like, a lot of those were put up post-civil rights movement, and they were made out of really shit material, and they were just a giant slap in the face to the civil rights movement.
No, and that I get that, but, like, people make, like, what I'm talking about specifically is those people. The flag, I'm pulling it from NASCAR. People are making a big stink about it. And these guys, I have these dudes saying, like, it's heritage, not hate. That's not even the flag that was used. It's just, that is a variation of the General Lee's flag. But America, in the Civil War, America split for like 4 or 5 years. And the Confederacy came up, and then they started a war with with our country. Like, they split and they started a war with our country, and then they like, we have this flag constantly flying all the time.
Wasn't the Confederate flag after the Civil War, like a rebel group?
No, it's a variation of.
I should probably do some more research.
We should probably do some research on that before we really state an opinion on it. But
if it's offending people, though, if it's got heavy racist connotations to it,
it does.
Like,
and
then why keep it?
I guess, like, I mean, if you want to keep one and for yourself and stuff, I got no use for one either. And but once again, the connotations that it has for me personally, I'm still wearing my mask. Connotations that it has for me personally are not going to be as aggressive or invoking as it would be for, like, a Southern, or like a person of color in general in America. Like, that's gonna have, like, these, I get it, but then, like, it's such a slippery slope. You know what I mean? Like, this is the thing that's confusing about PC culture, is it's a slippery slope. If you take that away because people don't want to see it, and then, like, there's the same people that don't want to see the American flag, so they want to, like, step on that and burn that. Like, it's like, I just don't know, man. Like, and you know, this is kind of why we wanted to talk about this. Like, I feel like not talking about it is definitely, whatever your opinion may be, not talking about it is just, you know, we should have these conversations. We don't want to enable, you know, hate, and we don't want to enable, you know, like any kind of like cultural shaming at all. We should talk about it, you know, and understand it and try to map it out in our minds. And, you know, so I mean, I just don't really know what to say. I mean, we could get into a bunch of specifics, and we can if you want, but I just don't. I mean, my thoughts on the subject are pretty simple, in the fact that I'm just still trying to understand it, and I'm trying to really, you know, just change my understanding of it, for better or worse, whatever that may mean. I mean, did you have like anything specific? Like, it seems like you have a page of stuff there. I just kind of breezed over.
No, it's all good, man. I've got some tasteless jokes, but it's okay. We don't need to get into it. It's better that we don't.
Okay, that's fair. That's good. So, I mean, really, like I said, there's some stuff that I definitely agree with that's happening, and I understand. And like we said, there's some stuff that just shouldn't be said anymore.
One of the positives, though, dude, is like the sexual misconduct. You know, like the Cosbys and the Weinsteins. Like, they're shit out of luck, man. Like, they're gonna get exposed now. Like, I think that's awesome. But what's also, like, super weird about that to me is, like, just about everybody, with, like, maybe a couple of exceptions, have been, like, these liberal or far left people, like the Weinsteins and the Cosbys and, like, the people like that in the world who are being exposed. Like, that's crazy to me. It's like from the same political movement that says don't do these things anymore, you know? Like, there's definitely some, like, there's some weird crossover.
Well, most of these people, like the Epsteins and stuff like that, and the Weinsteins, the Epsteins, the Weinsteins,
Yeah.
I mean, the list is long.
Clintons.
Yeah, but that's you know, a lot of that stuff's alleged. I'm just saying, like, you know, it's not like documented stuff. I'm talking about like documented, like, misconduct. There's some there too.
George Bush Sr. too. They're talking about him now. So he should grab butts and stuff.
Oh, misogyny! Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know. I kind of don't put it past any person who would want to be the leader of the free world to do that kind of stuff. So
I mean, there's the old maxim that absolute power corrupts absolutely.
I don't know why anybody want that job.
I think I talked about this on a podcast I was on before, which is like this kind of behavior, and I really have a theory on why that this is such a thing as it is. Is this, like, it's almost like a drug addict. When a drug addict takes a drug and then they continue to take that drug, it starts to lose potency, so they go deeper and deeper and deeper in chasing that high.
Dabs.
Yeah. You know, they drink Diet Coke.
Yeah.
They're the worst of all the drugs.
Dude, what if you dab Diet Coke? What would that be like?
Eek.
Let's try it. I'll buy a dab rig.
So this is the jam, and this is like, okay, so you get this thrill of doing this forbidden thing, and then that thrill's not cutting anymore, so you got to go deeper, and you got to go deeper, and you got to go deeper. And I think that's just like, if you have all the money in the world, I mean, and you really perceive your life as having no consequences, I mean, I think that really, like, that's when you really get to see somebody's, like, true character, when they think that there are no more consequences for their actions. I mean, how would you behave if there was no consequences for your actions and you could just do as you pleased?
Oh, nobody would know how I'd behave because I would be totally isolated. Like, I can tell you right now, like 90% of my time would just be like, I'd just be out, like, doing nothing. Like, away from most people. Like,
I don't know. I can't actually say, in a world without consequences, what I think would happen. But I think that's part of the problem too, is that, like, there are, if anyone believes that there are no consequences for their actions, then you know, or they can just do as they please, without any kind of revocation or consequence. I think that's where a lot of problems stem from. Especially if you're talking about like the Me Too kind of movement, where these directors just get handy and like just operate like they are, the absolute king of their little hill. And I think that kind of behavior definitely is indicative of that.
I think it's kind of coming to surface that it's more of a cultural thing. I would like Hollywood sort of set the bar for that type
Hollywood
of
culture. But I mean, look at the internet for 5 seconds. You can see
it's probably the same in a lot of major cities, especially where there's a lot of music and there's a lot
sex
of movies.
sells. Sex sells. It does. But the thing is we're trying to acknowledge that.
You lived in a major music producing.
I've lived everywhere, but I didn't really notice it that much because.
I was just gonna ask, like, what was that kind of going on there?
No, I didn't notice it. No, because I kept my one of the life lessons that was a part of me young is I keep my eyes on my mop. Like if I'm working, say I'm mopping the floor, I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. That's what I do. And this gave me, just being so obsessed in art and music and all this other stuff definitely kept me a little more isolated from stuff. It did for real. Like things that maybe I didn't perceive that they were going on around me. And now that I reflect back, I can kind of remember that. But, I think that if more people did that, just paid attention more to what they're doing and less of what others are doing, it would be a better world. That's just my thoughts. Because my life philosophy has been pretty basic. It's pretty easy. First rule, there's 3 rules.
Sure.
I just discovered that, as a kid, my morality kind of would drift with the situation, and I needed something to kind of ground me and level me out and keep me like on path, on point. So I didn't like who I was when I was like 20-ish, and I changed it. I'm just like, I don't like who I am right now. I want to kind of figure this out and be a better person. So 3 rules. 1, don't be a butthole. Just straight up. Be nice. Be excellent to one another. Don't be a butthole. Rule number 2, mind your own business. But rule number 3 is, if someone ain't following rule number 1, disregard rule number 2. That's my life. Thank you for just belittling my life philosophy with your fingers smelling.
For people who can't hear, the audience, so they know what you're talking about.
Smelling my fingers.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my philosophy of life. So if I see injustice, that allows me to morally, in my own little moral compass, do something about it. Because if I see someone being a butthole to someone else, I feel morally obligated to say something. Or if someone is just being nasty to a small example. If somebody is being nasty to a clerk at a store, I'm going to say something about it to them. I cannot not say something. I feel just involved. But see, that's my rule. If someone else is being a butthole, I can disregard rule number 2 by minding my own business.
You know what's crazy about doing that with cashiers? Because I do that, when I see it. I don't see it too much, but, I will tell people that they're being ridiculous to the cashier. I've never had somebody not leave the store, but also I'll be an over-the-top dick about it because it bothers me so much. It bothers me.
Yeah, it bothers me too. I've worked at enough customer service jobs. I've worked at a restaurant, so whenever I have a host or hostess that I can tell is obviously having a bad day, I do what I can to help that, and I try to just be cool to them. But just kind of in summation, with this, I think that what's going on today in the world today, it's just so hard to sum up, because it's just such a big thing. There's so much happening all at once.
How about we start with a question?
Yeah.
Each of us will answer. Do you feel optimistic about the future at this point in time? Do you think we're headed in a good direction? And then we'll do the other way. Do you feel pessimistic? So do you feel optimistic?
No, I don't.
You know?
No.
Okay. Do tell, man.
I just see, like I said, the media spinning everything. I think really that's the root of a lot of issues. Because there's legitimate movements happening now. Like legitimate stuff, like the Black Lives Matter movement. That's a legit movement. And but there's all this other stuff that's coming with it. Like there's anytime you have any kind of mass gatherings of people, there's always these people that gotta take advantage of the situation and just try to incite chaos. And I don't... Okay, I like that. I think that's a great movement, and I think it's something that's been needing to be due for a while. And a lot of people will, you know... And I was one of them, too. And this is the thing, like, I thought about it. Like, when people say Black Lives Matter, and then you hear some dude that always jumps in and goes, well, all lives matter.
Nobody's saying they don't.
No one's saying they don't. But, you know, it's about Black lives at the moment. Because, you know, the George Floyd thing, stuff, you know, it went down. And it obviously just cast a giant light on what's going on. Like, that there's deeper issues that we should figure this out. You know, this is something that we should definitely take care of now. It's been too long. It's been way too long standing.
See, this is maybe where we disagree, is like, that's what makes me feel so optimistic about the future, is somebody recorded what was happening with George Floyd, and the news put it out there for the world to see, every channel, and like, conservatives and liberals alike were like, yeah, that was messed up. You know, there's been a few exceptions where people were kind of shitty about it, and it's like, that's gross, man. Why are you talking? But, you know, that's just a few people that I've seen try.
That's the optimism, and I that makes me. But the reason I'm pessimistic about the future is there's just a lot of there's a lot of, like, this media is just spinning people into a frenzy. And like I said, man, the internet just gives everybody a voice. And some of these voices just should just shut up. Like,
yeah, probably.
And but everything I see is spun. Everything I see is not, like, actually, like, even, maybe it's a little bit factual. But if I deep dive it and I really start looking into it, you know, I see, like, oh, wow. And people post these memes and stuff on the internet that are just, they're inflammatory. They're made to incite, like, a reaction. And it's not like the good kind of reaction, you know, like injustice in the world, this is what actually happened. You know, it's something, like, really spun left. Like, it's a right. It's not in the middle. And I kind of find myself politically leaning towards the middle.
Yeah.
You know, I like, definitely a moderate, you know, to a degree. And there's some things I like, you know, and there's some things that I don't. Like, I love...
guns.
Yeah, but I also believe in people's rights to be who they are.
Yeah, definitely.
Without, you know, judgment, you know, and just be accepted. And, you know, if they're buttholes, then we treat them accordingly. You know, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like they should be based on their character. I mean, like, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King, you know, judge someone based on their character. You know, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. It should be about the person, not about who they, like, what they are. You know, it should be more about who they are, not what they are. That's where I'm at. And anything that falls in line with that, I'm cool with.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, and you'll never meet people who want to be addressed a certain way, who will be disrespectful, who are like, no, you're not, sir, you're a man, lol.
I hear it, and I see it. I saw some, like, I was at work, and I saw some straight-up misogyny, dude. Like, just straight-up misogyny.
Name names.
Now, I don't remember the dude's name, but, he walked in wanting to buy something, and he talked to one of the girls there, and then basically he just looked at me like, you're a woman, can I have a man, please? And we heard that. I mean, we just drummed him out. But, like, that's the thing, is, like, I still see it, and there's still people that...
That's common in music stores, man. My buddy who works at a different music store was telling me about, like, he encounters that regularly.
Yeah, you see that a lot. Like, we've had, like, any sales job that I worked, some dudes will, like, ask, like say a woman salesman comes up to him, and they'll talk to him, and then they basically, it's the first chance they get, they'll come talk to one of the guys, and we have to basically repeat everything that she said. But she's totally right. And there's been times where the girl salesman knew way more than me. Like you were talking to the expert. I don't know why you're over here talking to me. Like, that's the person you should be talking to about this,
Definitely,
not me.
Yeah.
They're like, no. And I'm like, are you stupid? Like
no, Lord.
Is that still a thing? Is that still a thing? I mean, like, that's like, a lot of times that's how I react to a lot of this stuff. You know,
shopping out a clarinet, you're the guy.
Well, I'm just saying, like misogyny, I don't get. Racism, I don't understand why people still are actively racist. I just, I mean, why is that idea eventually we're all going to be one race at some point. You know what I mean? Like, and we all start in the same place. We're all going to end in the same place. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there'll be other reasons. People will find other reasons to hate each other. There's always going to be.
That's why I'm pessimistic. That is exactly why I'm pessimistic. Like,
that's going to be like, even though now it seems so relevant, I feel like the extremes are really kind of the minority, and I think
I would hope so. Like, that would give me faith if I could kind of start seeing. And the more I talk about it with people, the more I find that there are the extremes that are like lurking on the outskirts of everything, and like I feel like there are real people out there that are intelligent, thinking people.
Well, I think, like you were talking about the memes that are just made to incite. I think that's another thing, is there's more often than not, people can kind of decipher for themselves. They can look at those things and go, that's...
I have seen it where they actually buy right into it, and it's like they use it as like a red badge of courage to dig their heels in on outdated ideals.
Well, of course.
I just hope I'm not, like, one thing that I've always worried about is I'm coming off as ignorant. I always worry about that, especially when I talk about this stuff, but I wanted to talk about this stuff, and this seems like the best opportunity for me to put my opinion out there and like make, stand up for something. You know what I mean?
I don't worry too much about coming off as ignorant, man.
I'm just trying to like understand.
I think though, with like those memes you were talking about though, just like, I think it's probably very few people are like taking that shit and running with it, man. Like, probably very few. I mean, like, say you have like 200 friends on your Facebook, how many people do you think are gonna repost it or whatever? Probably.
I seen it.
Maybe 10.
Before I purged my Facebook friend list a little bit, like, someone would put up like a super racist meme, and then like I could see like it just explode. Mm-hmm. And these are from people I know. Like, I know these people. Now there's ones that are like funny, like little like sort of right left leaning jokes, sort of left leaning jokes, and I love that stuff. I love to actually like jokes about stuff that's currently happening. Like, even if they're, not in the best taste of jokes, sometimes a shitty joke, just puts a smile on someone's face, and then, you go with that. But when you start, like, getting way out there, when you start really leaning one way or really leaning the other. And I'm just such a moderate, so it's just, like, trying to, because I believe in rights. I believe in, just intrinsic rights for people, and those things should not be trod upon. But, I've also, like guns.
You think some rights are just inalienable?
Yeah, that's like, there's some things that are just inalienable, and we should just accept that. Everyone should just accept that and move on. I agree. It's not that easy though. It's never that easy. It's a slippery slope on either side, and
that's exactly right. I mean, like,
I try to be an optimistic pessimist, as I like to say, where I try to like think happy about stuff and like look forward to the future and stuff like that. But
well, I mean, like, recently when there was rioting and looting happening
it's still happening
in Los Angeles, like there were people on I'll just say right now, they're on the wrong side of the gun debate, saying they need to take away guns, they need to have restrictions, blah blah blah, and they've never used a firearm in their life, and they're asking their friends, can I borrow your gun? And it's like, geez, man, like,
I get it on some of the really extreme stuff. Like, I don't think that you need like a 50 caliber machine gun sitting in your front lawn. I don't think that you need like a rocket launcher. I don't think that you need like an automatic shotgun with a drum of 100 rounds.
Why not?
it just seems excessive. But on the flip side of that is that it's often argued that an armed society is a polite society.
The other flip side to that, though, is the Second Amendment states that you're supposed to be armed to fight the government in case the government becomes oppressive and tyrannical. So,
but once again, this is a slippery gray area, because it's like, I get that too. Like, but you got to remember, like, that's the thing about politics, is it's so gray. It's all gray. You know what I mean? Like it's a slippery slope. So you say, I'm taking away this, but then there's this, and you go back. You can't just let people run wild. That's the other tricky bit of it, you know?
I mean, if everybody had a 200-round automatic shotgun, I highly doubt there'd be very many people like going hog wild with it.
It's just once again it's so tricky, and I don't.
When you take away guns, look at Chicago, look at Los Angeles. You know, the high.
Well, then that just makes it easier for the people that don't need them. You know, the people that shouldn't have them to get them. Because then the only people that can get guns are criminals.
Yeah. We just move on, though. I'll debate this till I die.
No, and that's fine. We can have differing opinions.
I'm just so pro Second Amendment, like hardcore.
95% of the time I am too.
I feel horrible for people who have kids that are killed by guns. You know, like
I do too.
I get what they're saying, but
no, I get it too. Well, that's our thoughts on stuff.
Awesome, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, did you want to go over why you did go over
I did go very in-depthly about why I'm pessimistic.
Yeah.
Why I'm an optimistic pessimist, where I want to believe that good is coming, but I often just see the bad.
I think it'll level out, man. I think we're in a time of
a
change.
trepidatious time with a lot of pertinent issues arising, and I think that a lot of those should be talked about.
Look at the civil rights movement, man. Like pre and post civil rights movement, like there was a drastic change in thinking that happened afterwards, and this is just another time.
I think this may be an extension of that. You know what I mean? Like it's the next phase.
Exactly. Yeah. This is part 2, and there might even be a part 3.
And I hope the sun shines on the other end of this. I really do. I hope the sun shines and everybody is, progress has been made, and we can, move on and, do stuff again.
Dude, yeah.
COVID's crazy, and like there's a lot of things just happening all at once, and I'm just as confused as a lot of people, but I'm trying to like actively figure it out, because I feel as an American it is my job as an American to talk about these issues, to vote on whatever issues, like to be active in it to a degree. I don't like large gatherings. I definitely couldn't, like, riots make me jittery. So, but I'll state my opinion on whatever that may be, but I'm also, once again, always open to criticism.
Okay. Always
open to other ideas, and your ideas don't threaten my ideas, so I can talk about them, and they might even change my ideas. Like, I don't set anything in stone to where that I can be talked to. If someone makes a super valid point, I'm not digging my heels in, because it's like that doesn't sound right to me. Like I'll hear you out. I'll always hear you out. And
having a rigid ideology hasn't gotten anybody very far. So.
No, and I feel the need to be open and fluid, and being able to change my mind if I need to. So just be excellent, as Bill and Ted put it. Be excellent to one another. We'll get through this, hopefully, on the bright end of this and everything.
People need to stop discounting the Nuge as an awesome guitar player, too. Just because he's a little wacky.
Oh, he's real wacky. I've actually been to a few of his concerts. If the man just shut up.
He's just so cool, though. Like,
if he just shut up, just gave you a rockin' guitar show. Henry Rollins did a bit on this, where he's like, he's like, I was at his thing, and he was just killing it. And then he'd open his mouth. It's like, and he started playing guitar again. You're like, okay, well, he's wacky, and you just start railing it.
Henry Rollins is such a nervous fellow, man.
Oh yeah, he's definitely aggro, but like aggro in the best of ways.
He's nervous though, man. He's so nervous. I can just.
I've read a lot of Henry Rollins books. I have kind of look up to the man. As far as like, he's simple, straightforward. Well-spoken, illiterate, which I kind of, I can identify with that kind of stuff, because I read a lot, and I'm pretty illiterate, and alliterate. I can alliterate stuff a lot, not illiterate. My vernacular is robust, and I write a lot. So, actually, weirdly enough,
I heard bust.
I wrote a book. I'm not even kidding. As pretentious as it sounds, I wrote a book last week.
The Pigeon and the Stork.
No, actually, I wrote a book about my philosophy of playing guitar.
Oh. I wrote a book about your mom, dude. I ran out of pages.
Oh, he doesn't watch he doesn't proof some of the stuff I send him to proof. You're gonna get yours, buddy. Come like today's Sunday, so come Monday.
Yeah,
you're gonna get yours.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but
my mom got hers, like out of the fridge, and then the next fridge, and then the next fridge, and then the next fridge, and then the
I'm
next
flipping
fridge.
Rob off if you can't see that.
And then the next fridge.
I wrote a book about guitar playing called Fretboard Terrorism: The Art of Winning Everything Ever.
I would love to read that, man.
I'm typing it up. So yeah, I wrote a guitar playing book, which I'm probably going to try to self-publish here pretty soon. And very much after one of my personal heroes, Henry Rollins. So we talked about him a little bit. So
he is awesome.
He has his own publisher. He's his own publisher, pretty much. He's written books over the years. They're very good. His spoken word is very good. Speaking of recording artists, we're going to do record of the week. I'm going to edit that in later. What is it, Rob?
Sublime. Self-titled.
Yeah, I remember this album. This album was pivotal for me when it came out. And I'm sure it was for you too, especially considering your musical tastes as they stand.
Oh my god.
It's a game-changing album. It was... The songs were super upbeat. They kind of had a hip-hop flavor. They were very memorable. You could sing along with them. You want to get a campfire jam going in like the 90s and 2000s, just kick out some... like Santeria or something, man, and you're just like,
what I got.
We just won everybody over.
Every song on this is awesome.
Oh yeah.
Also,
Ballad of Johnny Butt. That one's great.
Johnny Butt was the man with. Yeah, dude. I Saw Red with Gwen Stefani before she became a pop artist, when she was a rock
More
star.
like a pop superstar.
Oh my god.
No, I
actually like her pop stuff too, dude. Like, I really do. I think it's really good.
So if you guys are into Sublime, check that record out. It's quintessential.
If you're not into Sublime,
it's essential. It is an essential album to have in any collection,
dude,
in my humble opinion.
Were they the first kind of like pioneers of combining everything? Punk rock, hip hop.
No, there was bands that did it before them, but they did it. They're the ones that I feel like nailed it to the wall.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They really nailed it
well.
So check that out. Remember we got our serious stuff out of the way here. So with some I felt like kind of morally obligated to talk about, and Rob had brought up some great points too. So like that's what we think. You think what you think. If you got any questions, shoot them our way. Subscribe, like the stuff, share the stuff, hit the Patreon link, tell your friends, tell your parents.
If you have a cat with no legs, I am committed.
He's in the market.
To getting it hooked on opiates.
And naming it Lieutenant Dan.
And getting it off of opiates. And marrying it off. Nice cat broad. Can I say broad about cats?
I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna.
We're gonna look that up later.
We're
gonna go with it now. So,
yeah.
Peace out, nerds.
Later, losers.